Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Blood, Sweat, and Beers NFL podcast. My name's Eric. This is my co-host Josh. Week 9 we're getting into here. Just finished up with the trade deadline today. We're here to bring you a couple topics, specifically the trades that happened today and leading up to today. Some pretty big ones we want to talk about and hit on.
Yeah, really exciting NFL news today. You'll notice I'm wearing my Hawkinson jersey for the last time. Eric and I went to a Packers game last year in Lambeau, and I was like, oh, sweet, I need to get a Hawkinson jersey. And $120 later.
Yeah, I feel bad for talking you into that, too. I was like, oh, he's a legit tight end.
He'll
He's
be
here
there
to stay,
forever.
Yeah, so, no, that's unfortunate, but we'll hit on that, too. We'll start off with some of the earlier trades. We didn't have the podcast last week, but obviously the big one that kind of got things rolling, Christian McCaffrey going to the San Francisco 49ers.
Heck yeah, and they paid a lump sum for him too.
Yeah.
Second, third, fourth, and fifth. So they're kind of taking that Rams mentality of who cares about draft picks.
Yeah.
But the dude just had a trifecta last week with what was it? A pass, a run, and then also a receiving touchdown.
Yeah,
So he's paying dividends for sure.
Yeah. I think that's going to work out great with San Francisco. I think he's just got all those weapons there now. They're just waiting for Debo to finally come back and get healthy, to where they could just have all these guys out of the field. The only thing that I could see potentially hurting them is, maybe next year when Trey Lance comes back, that kind of takes away from Christian McCaffrey's production and
Right on his skill set.
Yeah, but that's next season. We'll talk about that next year if we get to that. And it comes down to that. Maybe Trey Lance doesn't get the job. We'll see.
It's quite possible.
Yeah.
Second trade earlier this week was James Robinson to the Jets. This was kind of an emergency move by the Jets. Sadly, Breece Hall tore his ACL, so they're looking for some running back contribution there. They only gave up a conditional pick, so to me it's a win-win. Jags, they kind of had a loaded backfield with Etienne or whatever his name is, and I think he can be productive in that backfield. So
Yeah, talk about good for fantasy owners, though, for Travis Etienne on the Jaguars. He has been putting up some numbers these past few weeks, and I think it only made sense to finally move on from James Robinson. That seemed to be kind of the, it was like, actually he was drafted a year before the Urban Meyer, wasn't he?
He was actually, I read on him while I was doing this research, he just signed as a rookie free agent.
Oh, that's right. Yep, he was undrafted.
Speaks volumes to how far he's come.
Yeah.
So, good for him. I hope he gets some good carries with the Jets. I'm still questioning Zach Wilson. He hasn't been really good this year, so they're going to have to rely on that running game.
Yeah, traded a little late, too, in the week. So James Robinson, with the snaps that he did see, very limited volume there for him. Not much to that running game there without Breece Hall. So hopefully they can get something going. Maybe Zach Wilson will start to look a little bit better over these next few weeks. But yeah.
They're still in good contention in that division.
Yeah.
They're second, if I recall right. So it's Bills, Jets, Dolphins, and then Patriots. So they're still all right. The year's still very young, so I'm told. Now another trade that went down was Robbie Anderson. He went from the Panthers to the Cardinals. That was more a similar situation as James Robinson, where Hollywood Brown got injured, and they're like, who can we get on the cheap? So they did that. So
that was the week after too. He had that spat with the coach. And the coach kicked him out of the game, and that was the one trade where it kind of got things rolling for me personally. Like, oh, here we go again. The Packers aren't going to make a move, and
sure as hell they didn't.
Yeah. No, but that offense is starting to look real good now with DeAndre Hopkins coming back. And,
Dobbs looked hella good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yep.
So, next one was Robert Quinn to the Eagles. Obviously, the Eagles feeling that they are legit, and that'll come up later in this podcast. But what do you think of that trade?
Yeah, Robert Quinn to the Eagles, coming from the Bears. Another trade the Bears made too was Roquan Smith. He went to the Ravens. So you kind of get this sense, that, okay, the Bears are starting to offload some of their guys and, really shift their focus to the next few years. I think those are good moves for both teams. I definitely want to hit on both of those defensive players. Both great additions to both the Eagles and the Ravens, respectively. I think it's just what those teams are looking for. I think it's going to help them out, help make them put themselves in a position for a playoff push here at the end of the year.
Certainly. Roquan Smith, I've mentioned in previous podcasts that I would have loved for the Lions to get him because he should league leader in tackles, very passionate. He cried when, didn't he cry when they traded away Robert Quinn? So he's a passionate team player.
Yeah.
So that speaks volume. And they've been looking for that Ray Lewis kind of replacement player, so maybe they got him, minus the, off the field stuff. But only took a second and a fifth. That's a pretty good trade for the Ravens.
Yeah, I think so. And then I want to keep hitting on the Bears here too. The big one, obviously, today, Chase Claypool to the Bears. From what I was hearing, the Packers were really in on him, really trying to. They offered the same thing, basically, a second-round draft pick, and the Steelers felt that the Bears would have a much higher second-round draft pick than the Packers would by the end of the year. I think the Bears are still trying to figure out, in the rebuild mode kind of theme to their club, and the Packers more so. I think they're still trying to get things right and actually be, playoff contenders. But I just think it's a bonehead move by the Bears, honestly, and fuck the Bears. I just feel like it's one of those things where like the Steelers were like, hey, the Packers, they're offering this. You guys want to get in on it and be, boneheads to the Packers and make a bunch of Packers fans upset? And they're like, oh, hell yeah, It seemed like a move that didn't really make sense. You want to get maybe some help to help Justin Fields out and make this offense look a little better, I guess. But what are they gonna do with Claypool? He's 6'4", 238 pounds.
He's a big boy.
I guess he's still kind of young, but it just seems like one of those receivers that
Kenny Galladay
maybe might that might not hang around too long, and maybe he only flashed a little bit with the Steelers, but of course I'd be saying the opposite thing if he came to the Packers, like, oh, what a great addition. But unless, I don't know, it's hard to say. They have to view him as like their number one top tier guy, right? Like you have to bring him in. Now they got to sign him, and
they're gonna have to extend him because I think he only had 1 year left.
Yeah,
And from a value perspective, so they let Roquan Smith go for a second, and hypothetically they use that second to pick up Chase Claypool. Who would you rather have leading your team going forward? That's going to be really damning to their defense. He was their leader, and I don't think Claypool's going to pay that much dividends, at least initially.
Yeah, I think it's still too early to figure out what the Bears are trying to do here, especially with their cap situation. I think they're just waiting for the year to end and try to figure out what to do. But yeah, it's like, like you said, Roquan Smith or Chase Claypool. I feel like maybe if I'm the Bears, maybe that's a good idea. Let's really bolster our offense. It's an offensive game. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be here in a few years, and you don't have to beat the Packers with your defense or with what am I trying to say here? You know what I mean? Because Aaron Rodgers is just going to beat your defense anyways.
Yeah.
Or typically so it has been in the past. But now if you have a subpar quarterback coming into the Packers, you don't need this stellar defense to try to keep up. Maybe you can focus more on your offense, and maybe that's the direction they want to go.
Or they're just giving Justin Fields that one receiver to see if he is it. So give him a talented receiver to see, hey, can this guy even play?
Justin Fields.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Is he just a mobile quarterback that throws every now and then? Is he the future? So this is a good test of seeing, hey, got you a weapon. Let's see what you can do with it.
Yeah.
Um,
But we'll move things along
Yeah,
here
sure.
pretty quickly. Talk about a few other players. Kadarius Toney to the Chiefs. That was during their bye week.
Yep.
So he's had time now, a week and a half, to get acclimated to this offense.
More firepower.
Kind of a sneaky ad for this Chiefs team. I think he'll be an immediate impact. I mean, we saw with the Giants, every time he gets the ball in his hands,
He's electric.
He's electric. He does something good.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of spat he had going on with the Giants, but
Yeah, he also wanted out, didn't he?
I think the Giants were happy to move on from him, and the Chiefs. What a great offense to go to.
Even more firepower. T.J. Hawkinson, that was a big one today. You immediately texted me, and I read it probably 45 seconds before you texted me, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
I was in the grocery store. I had a pack of waters under my arm, and then a thing of Gorgonzola blue cheese in my other hand. I pulled out my phone and I looked at it, and I just dropped everything. I was like, "No way! What are the Lions doing?" It's just
In the division.
in the division too. Yes. It just didn't make sense to me. Now, for the Vikings, good on them. They lost Irv Smith. They put him on injured reserve.
They feel they can
They
win now.
immediately filled that void with a young, quality tight end that they're probably going to have to pay.
In a year.
But the Lions, I feel like they had everything there, though. You're paying Goff his contract, whatever he had from the Rams, but you have all these pieces on your offense. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams coming back from injury, DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams, what a stud that dude is. And then T.J. Hawkinson you had too. You had all of these pieces there for your offense. And then, okay, maybe you move on from Jared Goff. You're not really doing anything this year. And boom, you draft a young quarterback, slides right in there, starts, you might have had a high pick this year. You probably still will have a high pick this year.
And he could have been that security blanket for that young quarterback.
Yeah, a young quarterback coming in, not having to pay a whole lot of money to. You can start paying your other guys on offense.
Yeah.
That's an easy 4 or 5 year window where you're not going to have, 3 or 4 year window where you're not going to have to pay a quarterback. It just...
Something leads me to think that they've had contract discussions and maybe they know something we don't. Maybe he wanted, George Kittle money, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. We got a second and a third, and we gave him 2 fourths, so probably the value of a late second round pick, my guess, for a player that's probably going to leave. But yeah, we're going to miss that productivity.
Yeah. How many years was he on the Lions?
This is year 4.
Oh, it's 4th
so
year.
We
he is
picked
good
up
for a contract.
Yeah, we picked up his 5th year option, which will now carry over to the Vikings. So
I think it would have been, I agree with the Lions in that standpoint, that it would have been hard to justify a bigger contract for Hawkinson unless he finished out the season, just a stellar performance. Yeah, on a tear. But it's a win-win for Hawkinson. Now he goes to a pretty electric Vikings offense.
Yeah.
And he could boost his productivity even more, and he might have a higher claim to
bigger salary.
A bigger salary, yeah, exactly. So
another big one, Bradley Chubb to the Dolphins. There's been, rumors pretty much all week, couple weeks that, with the Broncos underachieving, there's a couple of people would be available. Jerry Jeudy, that didn't happen. But Bradley Chubb was a one that was mentioned, and I guess someone offered 2 firsts. They turned it down initially, was the rumor.
Really? Wow.
But they did decide to trade him to the Dolphins, another kind of team that sees themselves as contenders, and I do as well.
Yeah, I agree.
For Chase Edmonds, who was dropping down anyway for Mozart, and a 1st and a 4th. So, that's a slam dunk. And the Dolphins kind of wanted, they wanted that 1st round pick back that they gave from Tyreek. So, yeah, it works out pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably the biggest one today, Bradley Chubb to the Dolphins. I remember seeing a graphic on ESPN, Micah Parsons, he has a 32% pressure rate to the quarterback, and Myles Garrett has the 30%, and then right behind him, 27% is Bradley Chubb. So, yeah, I think it's great for this Dolphins team. Man, who's that one guy they used to have on the outside? that was really good. The Dolphins.
Jason Taylor.
No,
That might be before.
It was some Canadian football player guy.
Oh, Cameron Wake.
Yeah, that guy. So that it'll be nice to because that was probably their most recent one. That was really good.
Well,
on the edge there.
Ndamukong, I don't know if you can really consider him.
He was
a
more
pass
the
rusher.
interior
Yeah.
kind of guy. Yeah, exactly. I think you mentioned it, but Jeff Wilson also to the Dolphins shortly after that trade was made. I think that's just all part of, Raheem Mostert, Raheem Mostert, he came from the 49ers as well, so.
Yeah, McDaniel's really kind of putting a staple on this offense, and he knows these players.
I think that move makes sense.
I think so.
It, especially with McCaffrey now at the 49ers, so.
Calvin Ridley to the Jags.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. That's that could really play out to the Jaguars' favor, I think.
I wouldn't bet on it.
No.
Anyways, that's my bet.
You were waiting for that.
I was like, that's a perfect setup. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I do think it's a good move. Everything seems to be conditional for this trade.
Big time. Big time.
Fifth rounders can move into thirds, and
or second
fourths
even.
can move into second. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of picks associated with this one, but just getting Trevor Lawrence another weapon for next year. He's already doing well with Christian Kirk and
He is.
the tight end Evan Ingram and Travis Etienne. I think this team is moving up in the right direction.
Yeah, they're well coached.
Yeah.
Etienne. Trevor Lawrence has to get control of those turnovers and kind of. He's still a work in progress. So
Yeah.
they'll get better.
Yeah. And then lastly, actually way last minute during that trade deadline was Nyheim Hines to the Bills. I think that's a good addition. We saw a little bit of James Cook to the in the Packer game.
Mm-hmm.
Caught a few nice, not long balls, but intermediate receptions.
He was way more active in that offense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's just like, okay, good job, rookie kind of thing. But Nyheim Hines is probably that more reliable, pass catching running back that they're going to want to use a little bit more reliably in that offense. And I think it's a good move.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Should we talk about how would you grade each team just in the NFC North for the for the trades? So like the Vikings, I'd probably give them an A.
I would say B+ to an A. Yeah, I think getting Hawkinson and more firepower for an offense that's already humming. Yeah, I would say B+ for me. It could go up to an A.
Yeah. So then the Bears.
I gotta say it.
Probably give it like a C+ or a
C+,
B-.
yeah, because yes, the Claypool, like we mentioned, we have to see what Fields does, but to lose Roquan Smith, I think that's a tough one. So that brings me down to a C probably.
Yeah. And then the Lions.
Lions, I'm gonna give. From a future standpoint and kind of GM standpoint, I'll probably say a C+.
Yeah. And then the Packers, I'd probably give. I'm gonna probably be a little more humble about this. I'd probably give them a B-. I think it's always what they've done in the past. I think they're this team that likes to draft their players, likes to hang on to them as long as they can, develop. They don't want to make that big flashy trade because then they risk losing out on that future draft capital. And I think it sticks with the mantra of this organization, or of their organization. It just sucks when you had the whole fan base just buzzing on, them wanting to pick somebody up. But hey, there's still Odell Beckham Jr. out there. That's certainly a possibility. And then, even Brandon Cooks too. It sounds like there might be some kind of dispute that, with the team there, and he could end up being released from the team. And if I guess at that point it would be up to Brandon Cooks.
That'd be a huge pick.
Sounds like he wants to go to a contender, so I think first the Packers need to figure out their shit and get things going. But I'll give you my feelings on the Packers a little later.
Yeah, I think B is a pretty good grade there, mainly because they didn't overspend.
Right.
So it's easy to say, oh God, they should have got a wide receiver. Aaron Rodgers is just starving for talent and blah 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 blah. But they didn't overspend because they could easily spend 2 first-round picks for more, or whoever.
Yeah.
So, and actually after coming across that really strong game by his wide receivers, young receivers,
Yeah.
maybe they're just like, well, let's ride this out. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, again, I'll talk a little bit more about that later too, about my thoughts on the Packers. But
Yeah.
move on to the next segment here.
Next one we're going to do is kind of a fun one. So as you know, we have thousands of fans.
Yeah, viewers, subscribers.
Thousands of fans and subscribers. And they ask us questions, so we kind of want to see what they wrote and answer them accordingly. So first one is from Kim Darkashian. She asked, is Russell Wilson kitchen closed, or is it on the coach why they're struggling? What are your thoughts on that?
Man, I mean, whatever Russ is cooking, it seems like he's trying to follow the recipe to a T, but it's just something's turning out kind of stinky a little bit.
I think he's having a hard time reading the recipe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, and I think it is a coaching thing, honestly. Maybe I mentioned it in the last podcast, but I feel like Nathaniel Hackett was brought in with the intention to kind of swoon Aaron Rodgers in the offseason
100%.
to come and go with this team, and it just never happened. And now the Broncos just kind of had to roll with it, and I don't think Hackett lasts through the year. If he does, I think they're going to move on from him at the end of the year. But there's so much money tied up in Russell Wilson that they have to stick with him
For years.
So I think it's all the way through like 2027 or something ridiculous like that. So it definitely could turn out well for Russell Wilson. I think he's still a really good quarterback. I think they just need to find a little bit different of an offensive mindset for that team. And maybe not let Russ cook all the time, but maybe, I don't know, turn it into like a power run scheme or a zone run scheme, and just really try to focus on getting these running backs involved. Obviously, it sucks with Javonte Williams going down, but
yeah, I was just gonna mention on that too. Maybe they just need a number one running back.
yeah,
I think they missed an opportunity of trading for Kareem Hunt. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I think that would have been probably a good move on their part, because I think he still has the possibility of being a number one back.
yeah, that would have been interesting. I think.
But because right now they're like, well, Russell Wilson, we paid you 200 and whatever million, win us some games, and that's just not working.
Yeah, they might have had to figure out kind of what their identity was before that.
True.
I don't know. I think the Broncos, I'd give them a pretty good grade today during the trades.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they lucked out with that Patrick Surtain, that cornerback on their team. Bradley Chubb, he was drafted a few years ago, so he was due to get paid if he had not been paid already. I can't remember.
No, I think he was due to get paid as well.
So I think that's a good move. Kind of move him onto a contender. Because you definitely don't want to pay a stud guy like that if you're just not in that contention, So
I agree with that.
I think they realized that, this is probably not their year, but man, talk about a flop from the beginning of the year. We were thinking all these teams were going to the playoffs.
Well, yeah, we're like, gosh, that division, everyone's in. The Raiders suck.
The Raiders suck. Broncos suck.
Yeah.
Man, you just have...
Chargers, Herbert hasn't been really last year's Herbert.
Yeah, Chiefs are just running away with it. So.
Yep. Next question I have from Tom Shanks. He asks, can the Eagles maintain / keep up the pace up all year? And are they real? Like, is this, undefeated team, are they real? Could they really run the table as far as, like, win a championship?
Yeah, so I think they're real. I'm just trying to figure out who's going to give them a problem in the playoffs. Like, who's going to be that team that comes in and just upsets them, and you see all the Eagles fans with their hands on their heads at the end of the game, like, oh my God. I just can't think of who that other team would be. The Bucks, they're
not good.
They certainly don't look good. I mean, I don't even want to mention the Packers. There's better teams in there that deserve mentioning, but the Seahawks, I guess.
Cowboys, possibly.
Cowboys.
On a good day.
Yep.
Giants.
I think they're probably the last best team.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be someone who can shut down AJ Brown. Because let's be honest, if they shut down AJ Brown, there's your chance right there.
Yeah.
So Slim Reaper's pretty good, but he's not. He can destroy your whole team. AJ Brown is that guy.
Yeah.
And good for Jalen Hurts. I mean, a lot of people are doubting him. Well, he can, he's just a big dude that can run. He's playing really well. So
Yeah.
yeah, good for him. Next one is from Billy Eyelids. Did the Packers give Aaron Rodgers too much credit to what he can overcompensate for? I think what this viewer means is the reason why they didn't give Aaron a whole bunch of weapons is because he won the MVP 2 years, and they're like, well, Aaron will get us through. Did they overcompensate? You know what I mean? Did they think he can overcompensate for their lack of talent? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
or firepower?
I don't know. I mean, it felt like the Packers definitely tried to do the right thing in the offseason. Bringing back Randall Cobb, going to get Sammy Watkins, like getting some of these veteran guys in there. But then they had a good idea too to start drafting some of these young wide receivers, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Samari Toure, to be that next generation, hopefully, of wide receivers. Now, the only problem is, Randall Cobb is hurt. Sammy Watkins sucks. He can't get over
Usually
it.
hurt.
Yeah, usually hurt too. Alan Lazard, he's hurt. Christian Watson, he's getting hurt almost every other week. And so the idea was there. I just think it's not being executed, and I don't think everything's meshing together, and it's just not quite clicking yet. But when I think it does, I think it's a serviceable offense, honestly. And I feel like if the offense can get it figured out, this is with any team, if the offense gets it figured out, the defense definitely rallies behind that.
Yeah.
Especially since they're not on the field for so long.
They're getting their rest.
Yeah, they're getting their rest, and there's all this talk behind, letting go of the defensive coordinator for the Packers, and I don't think that's the issue there. I think it's just, I don't know, maybe you got some tired guys playing some uninspired football, because the offense is just not getting it done. That's not any discredit to Aaron Rodgers. What is he going to do? You can't hand the ball off 100 times a game.
No, and expect,
so.
No, I agree. I mean, in a way, I think they maybe did. But, boy, did they ever strike gold with Romeo Doubs. I mean, he reminds me of last year's Amon St. Brown, in a way, because he's talented, he's coming up with the big catches, and he's just a gamer. So, good for him, good for the Packers.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, he had a few drops in that game, and you could tell he was pretty disappointed in himself. And he made a statement against the Bills this past week. So.
Yeah, no, it's good pickup, certainly. Next question is from our viewer, Bruno Jupiter. Is Lamar Jackson a Raven next year? So with him controlling his own destiny, him wanting to get paid, because he had that sign that says, pay Lamar Jackson, which was kind of funny in a way. He wants big money, obviously, or else the Ravens would have had him signed already. Do you think there's a chance he may go to a different team next year?
No, I think regardless of what happens, I think the Ravens are sticking with him, or he's sticking with the Ravens. He's just shown that he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
Like last year he had the ankle injury and he was out for some time, but he's just generally healthy and he's ready to come and ball. And
every week, yeah.
Yeah, it just baffles me because it's like every game, like, oh, he's gonna get hurt if he keeps running like that, and it's just not slowing down, and no. It's just surprising to me that he's still on this rookie deal.
It's wild. I mean, that much talent, that much early success, and he's still not paid.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I would love, because he picked 3 teams and one of them was the Lions he would want to go to. I'm telling you right now, we're probably going to have a top 3 pick. I would have no problem at all the Lions trading that for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, because I mean, there at least you get a guaranteed, serviceable, ready to go starting quarterback.
Superstar.
But you'd have to you'd have to know that your defense is ready to go too.
Which
Like,
we are.
I feel like it would have to be
Yeah.
like, boom, let's go right out the gates. Let's get the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
Because he's already doing that with the Ravens. You
He
know,
is.
like it's like, man, we just need that. We just need a little bit. We just need to get past that, and so I think he's right there with the Ravens. So is he gonna want to sign that contract with the Lions? Is the only thing. Or
Well, that too, and the Ravens.
well, wait, you mentioned the pick. He would get traded.
Yeah, we would. Well,
Or
I
was he a
guess.
free agent.
I guess
You
in
know what I
this
mean?
case, well, what they could do is a franchise and then franchise
Right.
tag him and then
Yeah.
trade him is kind of what I had in mind. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's all stipulation. But that's a good question. Very good question. Last question is from Kirk Relatives. Will Tyreek Hill break wide receiver records this year?
Man, I don't know. No, probably not. I feel like just because it's Miami, and the only reason I'm thinking that is because it's Miami and it's hot and humid, and Tyreek Hill has always had a problem with cramps.
He has. You're not wrong.
So I feel like that could limit it. That's like the only reason why I'm saying that is injury is always a factor. Yeah, for the past few years you've had this extra game built into the schedule. So it's probably going to be more common to see every year these records keep getting broken and up until a certain point, obviously. But yeah, it certainly looks like it though, with the way Tua's balling out. And yeah, I feel like if Jalen Waddle wasn't on this team, yeah, he'd definitely be breaking records. So
I'm going to go on record and say he is.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a better overall year than Cooper Kupp last year.
okay, so are you speaking from a reception standpoint then, or just like
yards
or
yards, I think he's definitely gonna beat Cooper Kupp's yards last year. No question about it.
yeah,
Because he's averaging 150 to 170. And he's just dynamic with the ball. But like you mentioned, injuries could come up because he goes 120%
yeah,
every reception.
yeah.
And he plays like that Steve Smith back in the Panthers, where he looks in the mirror and he's 6'5", but he's 5'10", 5'11". So
Yeah.
I hope that's not the case. I hope he does stay healthy, and I hope Tua stays healthy. And yeah, good things for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
We'll transition to usually what we do towards the end of the episode is NFC North predictions. Week 9 already. Holy shit. That's crazy.
Yeah.
This far already.
You know, you can only get to a certain point to where you're like, oh, all they gotta do is just figure it out, and
Yeah,
flip the switch,
I
get things
know.
going. And it's starting to get past that time here.
It is. Yeah.
But
it's-
I mean, I'm not giving up on my team.
Well, of course you should.
It's-
No,
I,
no, of course
I
you
enjoy watching them every week, and
yeah,
that's what's important, right? It's
football.
love for the game of football, and
that's right. That's why we host this show.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the first one, and ironically, it's both our teams. So
Yeah.
how cool is that?
yeah, Packers at Lions. That's the first time this year, right?
It is.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
We haven't met before. I have the Packers winning 31-10. I don't even think it'll be all that close. We seem to play a good half, so that'll probably be our 10 points, and you guys will probably continue that firepower and that chemistry going on. So, what are your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I don't know. I just I'm lowering the bar a little bit. I think it's going to be a pretty low scoring. I think both. Actually, I think the Packers defenses will definitely be. They're going to show up and do really well. But I think it's still going to be stagnant with the offense, which will definitely just kind of keep both sides down in scoring. I had it as a tie game, 17-17. They're not even going to make it through overtime. And it's
My gosh.
It's going to be a dud of a football game. It's going to be taking over. I don't even know what the 325 game is, but it's going to be broadcast over that one, and we're just going to be watching this like, oh my God, just end.
This may be the first Lions game all year I may not watch, because I let's be honest, I'll watch it, but I am just so sick of seeing a good half of football and then just stagnant the rest of the game. So, but anyways, I'm not gonna rant.
We should, while we're talking talking about it. We should go get some wings or something on Sunday and watch the game together.
Done.
I don't know. So
Yeah.
I'll go into work a little later that day. So
Yeah.
I think it is a noon game, but
I can cry my beer too. That'd be perfect. Vikings Commanders. You know, I predicted that I was going to say Redskins. I'm sorry, audience. The Commanders would beat the Packers, and they did due to Heineke. I think that it's going to be close, but I do think the Vikings are going to win 35-27.
yeah. Okay. I had something similar to that actually. My only note on this game was that the Vikings will look like Super Bowl contenders. I mean, I don't think T.J. Hawkinson was the difference, but I think people are really going to be like, yeah, look at this team now. They got all this firepower and they're ready to go. And the only issue, you mentioned the 27 points with the Commanders. The Vikings defense is still kind of suspect.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had a similar score, 35-20. Yeah, I think it'll just be a cleanup game for the Vikings. Even the Commanders, I think they traded away some of their players today.
Their cornerback, I
To the
think,
Steelers, right?
Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Dolphins at Bears. What do you think? I think that's an easy win for the Dolphins.
Yeah,
honestly.
I have 49-10, so I had
Yeah, I had 42-10. We're pretty spot on with pretty close with these projections here.
Yeah, so I think you're going to see Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill just go nuts, especially with that depleted Bears
Yeah,
defense.
Roquan Smith, Robert Quinn, both gone.
So
Bradley Chubb is going to feast on Justin Fields.
you're going to see, yeah,
Ay.
it's going to be, yeah. I wouldn't bank on the Bears looking good in this game. So yeah, I think it's going to be a blowout.
Who knows? Maybe Chase Claypool is just going to...
He could be the ticket, man. Can he play safety?
Yeah, right. Get him out there.
Yeah, he's 6'5", so we'll see.
Oh, man. So we'll close up here with some of our final thoughts and maybe just the outlook towards the rest of the season. I'll talk a little bit about the Packers. I think it's time for the Packers to just start having fun playing football.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just need to stop worrying about, Aaron Rodgers is an MVP back-to-back. We should be in the Super Bowl. We were so close these past few years. I don't think that's what it's about. I think it's just the love for football, and you got to play it each and every single week. So why not have fun each and every single week, and maybe not look at that end goal too early, because then you just start distracting yourself. So I would expect to, let's see what I put here. I would expect to lose, but watch some of this younger talent to start to emerge. Really try to start get this chemistry going, getting things figured out with Aaron Rodgers, and just be interesting to, hopefully we can get Christian Watson fully healthy, and see just like a few weeks, just a nice stretch of seeing what he can bring to this football team other than just end arounds and jet sweeps and getting the ball into his hands quickly. I think it goes back to the very first play of the year. It seemed like a season-defining moment for him.
Yeah.
He just had this deep ball right in his hands and he dropped it, and I think that's it just kind of defined the next few weeks up until now, what the Packers season was going to be. So I do think the Packers still have a chance to prove some of these haters wrong about this whole trade deadline shenanigan thing. The fact that they didn't make a move at all. So I think they do have a chance to, showcase some of their wide receivers that they drafted and they believed in and they brought in. And I think it speaks volumes. The players know, the Packers were trying to make some moves for a wide receiver, but just the fact that nothing got done, I think gives a confidence boost to some of these guys, some of these rookies that are just going to see more playing time now. And then, they could focus more also with their draft capital that they didn't lose out on any. So
The defense.
yeah, it'll be interesting. Bottom line, I think they need to start having fun, and that's how things start to get rolling. You start to go on this tear. If everyone's having fun, playing good football. I don't know. I'm still looking forward to each and every game. I love watching the Packers. I'm not one of these once Rodgers leaves, once Brett Favre leaves, it's like, oh, I need to bandwagon over to another team. No, man. So, yeah, I don't know.
Two statements for you. One's a question and one's just a statement. Statement is, I don't think a star wide receiver, would change the whole season perspective of what the Packers are doing. I really don't. Would it give them more firepower? Yes. But would their defense be any better? Would, these maybe sometime during game errors still not happen? No. I mean, so I don't think it makes them 10 times better if they would have gotten a, top wide receiver. Obviously, talent is great. The question is, are they a playoff team?
I think any team is a playoff team, honestly. I think if you get the right mentality going into a game each and every single week, and you start believing in what you guys can do, and not let yourself get down and beat up over everything, I think it's certainly possible. You're right. I don't think a wide receiver would have made all the difference. That team has some other problems they're dealing with too, with the offensive linemen. Actually in the trenches on both sides, the defensive linemen too can't seem to stop the run. I think that also goes back to some safety issues too. It seems like Darnell Savage or even sometimes Adrian Amos aren't making those plays, stepping up into the box, tackling some of those runners. So I do think a lot of that falls back on the safety help as well as the work that's going on in the trenches. But there's so much going on with that team that could be better, and maybe it is a scheme thing, I don't know, but I feel like, they drafted these guys, they're rallying behind these guys, and I think they are a playoff team. I think, I said it at the beginning of the year, maybe all they need to be is that wild card team just to squeak right in, and
there you go.
They're
still second.
It's been a tough season to, if it ends up being that way, to get to that point, being in that wild card spot, boy, that'd be one hell of a ride to get there. But I don't know, we'll see. Obviously, I looked at some of the stats in the Bills game. I don't have them all written down, but the Packers did very well offensively.
Yeah, it wasn't a blowout, and it wasn't like, gosh, they're overmatched.
Yeah, it was a close game. I think there were a few bad penalties that happened with the defense, and the Bills had one more turnover than the Packers, and I think the defense was the difference in that game. So
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Lions outlook, I would say, just keep on developing this young talent. Amon St. Brown, we know he's probably one of their future leaders. Jameson Williams, get him healthy. Doesn't sound like he'll be back for another month, which is unfortunate. See what you have in Swift. See if you need to evaluate that running back position again. And just ride it out with Jared Goff the rest of the year. I think it's pretty clear, like I mentioned earlier, we're set for another top 3 pick. And that top 3 pick is most likely going to be a quarterback. So think about the weapons you have, develop those weapons, and really think about free agency next year on getting some defensive stalwarts, some stronger defensive tackles, better linebacking crew. We need another corner or two. Akuta's been playing really well this year, so I'm more than happy about that. So, but yeah, I'll still watch football. I'll still enjoy football. I'll still cheer for my team. I don't wish badness on Jared Goff. I think he's playing really well for what his past has shown, but he does struggle. So,
yeah.
Other than that, in the comments, what's your team outlook for the year? Whether it's Bills fan, Bears fan, I'm sorry. And I know there's a lot of Vikings viewers, so do you think the Vikings are for real? Put it in the comments. And any other questions, feel free to put it in there. And other than that...
I got one more question.
Oh, please, yeah, do it.
So, If during our last episode for the season, or at the end of the season episode, if I were to bring out some shot glasses and say, you have to drink one shot for each win or loss your team has had this year, which side of that would you rather pick?
So you're saying like
So if the Vikings, or if the Lions finished 1 and 16,
yeah.
you would obviously take, okay, I'll just take one shot because it's the
Oh
one.
yeah, I would much rather do the loss.
What if
Or
you-
I mean the win column. I'd rather have that
Yeah.
many shots compared to the. I'll make that bet.
So what if you were the Packers?
I think.
Would you rather do the wins or the losses? Because you're already taking 5 shots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or are they going to go on a tear and are they going to win or are they just going to keep losing?
I think you're gonna have a pretty close amount on each side.
Yeah. Can I just do the Bears?
You could. So yeah, maybe we should make that bet right now.
I
So
don't know. It's easier for a Lions fan.
it is. I will definitely take the win column. I'll take that many shots. So if it ends up, and if I end up being wrong and we get 6 games,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Yeah, I think we'll both get a little messy at the end of the year.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe we'll get drunk the last episode. We'll see.
Well, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
We'll see you next episode, and good luck to your team in week 9.
Cheers.
Cheers.